Good evening and welcome to the Racetech Euro V8 Supercars Sprint Series. I am Chaz Draycott, here to guide you through the action this evening. Joining me is Mr. Clyde Whiting, Kim Jong-un himself, and Mr. Pete Bingham. Gentlemen, Virginia International Raceway, very interesting track to take these cars around.
Yeah, certainly is, Chaz. It's a track that we've never been to before in this series. And I did rack my brains last weekend trying to work out why we hadn't and couldn't come up with a reason. It's very narrow, it's very quick. I'm sure it's going to provide good racing.
What about you, Pete? What do you think of this one? It's not one you said you were a fan of it before, but maybe not so great here?
I think he's dead.
Yeah, I think Pete's gone to the shadow realm. He's disappeared well and true. What we'll do is we will show you the action that is going on track. I will upfront apologise for the fact that I've updated my overlay tonight because I've not done a broadcast in quite a while, and there's a new version of it, and there's a lot of the info that I can't seem to get to either show up or go away. So we're going to wing this one, aren't we, Clyde?
Don't we always?
Well, yeah, we'd like to. You can see the fantastic shape of Virginia International Raceway on the top right of your screen there. Very, very long circuit, this one. Quite complex as well, really, because it is narrow, like you say, Clyde. What's your experience around here?
To be honest, I'm not sure that I've ever raced here. Saying that, I must have done because I own the track. I don't tend to buy tracks for the sake of it. I only buy them if I'm going to race them. But what I've raced around here, I've got absolutely no idea.
Well, it's similar to me then, really. I think I've driven it once just for a laugh, and I think I did some of it in the Chazlington touring cars and the rallycross cars. But yeah, it's not the easiest of tracks by the look of it. What we'll do is we'll go on board with Tony Kloosterman right now, absolute veteran of the series. And I'm sure that out of all people, a bit sideways on the brakes there. I'm sure, though, Clyde, you probably agree that Tony's probably one of the best people to take us around a track like this.
Yeah, Tony used to do a lot of videos for us, hot laps, just to, get people into it. And I know Tony's one of these that can learn a track very quickly. So, even some of the tracks that he'd never raced on before, he managed to do videos for. So, yeah, we've said before in broadcast and the podcast that we do, any guys out there, any girls out there that are struggling with this car, with a certain track, Tony's a good go-to person to get some advice. And if he's got the time, which he tends to have a lot of time because he's old and retired, he'll spend time with you and try and get you to get the best out of the car and the track.
Yeah, he's not wrong. He's a really helpful bloke, really lovely guy, and he loves the series. He loves these cars, and he does put a lot of time into them. And I mean, I followed him in a racing scenario, and I don't know how he does it. Like, it's incredible the pace that he can carry everywhere. He seems so smooth in the car as well. I mean, there's a lot of the guys out there, to be honest. I mean, Greg Carr as well. He's from what I've seen in the forums and in the Discord server that the guys have, he's been an incredible revelation this season, hasn't he?
Yeah, to be fair, I think everybody steps their game up every season. We're in season 7 now, and from when we started to now, you can see that, well, apart from me, that is, you can see the improvements that people have made. And to start with, Tony won season 1 and season 2, and pretty much by a long shot as well. But the more fast drivers that have come into the series, the more the standards have had to go up, the more pressure is on. And now, the sprint series is a bit of fun and a bit of learning. But when we get to the main series race next weekend, there's one of 10 drivers that can, win the races now. It's fantastic.
Yeah, and it's always good to have that competition. I mean, I've always said about these sorts of series where the grids aren't mental sizes, because I think that sometimes that can kill the racing a little bit, because everyone's just more worried about not tripping over each other rather than having some door-to-door battles. And I mean, when I first raced in in this series, I really praised the fact that it wasn't a massive grid, and it felt better for it because there was a sort of small community behind it, and everyone knew everyone, and the racing was incredible from that as well. But it's the fact that with on the flip side of things like that, you can sometimes get runaway winners or runaway leaders, and that can sort of spoil the fun a bit sometimes. But like you say, when any one of 10 guys could win it at the front each time, it's great fun to go into that and not know who's going to come out top.
Yeah, that's true. The sprint series was sort of devised as a training tool more than anything else, to try and improve the race standards for the main series. So, drivers get to go out and have, rather than just hot lapping, they're racing door to door the week before we go there in the main series. Unfortunately, we haven't had the numbers for the sprint series. We're getting 30 plus usually for the main series, and between 10 and 15 on the sprint series. But what I would say is, because it's 3 20-minute races, because race 2 and race 3 are full reverse grids, no matter where you finish, some of the racing in this sprint series has been absolutely epic.
And I can't wait to see it, to be honest, especially around here as well. Like you say, it's not really an orthodox track for these cars to come to. It's not one that the series has visited before, so maybe a bit more of a level playing field tonight for people if they've not put the laps in there before. Because as you can imagine, if someone driving these cars would have been round, say, Bathurst, for example, then some people have a lot more experience than others. But yeah, I think it may be a leveler tonight. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I think it will be. I think Pete is back from wherever he was now, so I'll let him answer that question.
What was the question? I'm that professional, I wasn't listening.
Do you reckon that the circuit's going to be a good leveler for the playing field this evening if guys haven't got much experience in these cars here?
Yeah, I think so. There's some really complicated bits of this track. Even how you take that turn with the big oak tree. There's a number of lines into it, and there's a lot of people who are vying for getting wins here. Like Clyde said before, all that means is I finish lower down the field each time we race in the main feature league.
Well, we were just talking about the competition behind that league as well, and the fact that the racing just in this one can be just as good despite the smaller grids. Have you found that these are cars that you can get door to door with a lot, or is it do you have to be careful with them?
I personally have to be very careful with them because it's so easy to lose traction or diminished adhesion, or whatever the professional term is. Some of the other guys can go door to door and they trade a lot of paint. This league's a bit better, I'd say, than the official one, because apparently the racing's quite rough and tough in the official racing league in iRacing. And this one's got a lot of people who respect one another and race very closely with one another. And you don't always... I mean, we've had incidents, you're going to get that with racing. But generally, everybody's very respectful of one another.
Yeah, and especially when you know who you're going to be racing against week in, week out as well, that does help with these leagues. Because, you get used to who you might want to avoid or give a bit more space to, and then you know who you can dive into a corner with, and they've got the awareness to sort of jump out of the way if you make a mistake.
Yeah, totally. And, I mean, myself and Clyde have been founder members of V8ESC, so we kind of know everybody apart from the very new guys, and some of the very new guys are brilliant racers, certainly compared to me they are anyway. And yeah, everybody's now getting very aware of who's capable of what. So there's a few aliens about, so Michael Taliancic can do an entire 40-lap race on one thimble full of fuel. Don't know how he does it. he put a thing on. He shared his tactics the other week the other day on Discord, and I was just like, well, I do all that, but I still run out of fuel. So what makes you so special, And people know that those tactics are going on, so they do give room, and they do. He lets people overtake him because he knows that by the end of the race he's going to be half a lap ahead of him, just by saving fuel. So. Everybody's very aware of what's going on at the minute, and they avoid me like the plague at the moment because I've not been very successful lately.
Well, you said it, mate. Clyde, would you mind taking everyone through the format for the evening in case this is the first time them watching it, like it is for me?
Yeah, not a problem. So we got 3 races tonight. They're all 20 minutes long. First race, there's a 10-minute qualifying session for. So the grid for race 1 will be from the qualifying results. And then race 2 and race 3, both exactly the same. 20 minutes again, but we do a full reverse grid. So it doesn't matter where you finish, how many laps down you are. There is everybody on the grid gets reversed. We have a 10-minute slot, practice slot for everybody to join, and then it's straight into the next 20-minute race. So yeah, it's fast, it's furious, but usually it's very good fun.
And that's what we like to see, and that's what we want. Should be good fun to watch as well. Practice is just coming to an end at the moment. Then we're just looking at Andrew Hoffman in the slow motion racing car, flying down one of the very long straights here. Actually, there's a lot of high speed sections on this track, but a lot of sort of winding left, right, lefts as well. You've got to really be careful with the balance of these cars, as Pete was saying. They're very. You've just got to be very careful with them because of braking traction and these things. Even on the brakes, easy to do. You can see Andrew just navigating his way around now. Down the main straight, and that'll be the end of practice.
Yeah, and I think at this moment in time, just before we go into the qualifying session, I think it would be good for us to mention the terrible news from Spa today. With the death of Antoine Hubert, obviously in a crash with Juan Manuel Correa, who I believe is critical but stable. But obviously, all of our thoughts and prayers go out to the family of Antoine, and we all continue to hope that Juan can pull through as well.
Yeah, definitely. It's a massive loss to the motorsport world today. Really, really horrible news. Such a young talent as well, Antoine Hubert. We've seen him win races in GP2, Formula 2, I apologise. And, he's one of these incredible racers that was just making his way through the ranks and doing everything he needed to do. But it was a horrible accident, it goes without saying. But, yeah, there's not really a massive amount else to say. It's very upsetting news.
Yeah, it's definitely, it's obviously not good. Everybody that's ever been out on a track in a car knows the dangers of it. And the sports governing bodies, do everything that they can to make it as safe as possible. But these things do happen from time to time. So, we can move on, luckily. Let's hope in future Antoine's family can.
Yeah, definitely. Well said. Very well said. So the cars are out on track now then for qualifying. Seems quite frantic at the moment. Pete, what would your approach to qualifying be? Would you hang back, wait for some time to get set, or go out straight away?
No, I like to annoy everybody and get to the end of pit lane and get out, so I'm in front of everybody. I think it creates a more atmospheric qualifying session.
Peter's got this weird button somewhere on his PC that gets him in the cockpit and out of pit lane before everybody else, to piss people off.
Love it.
Absolute fact. I do it every time. And if I'm like racing at the back, then qualifying can be a bit more tasty than the race sometimes, with people trying to just get through and put their lap in. And you get a lot that do 2 hot laps and then pit again, or just reset. So I just like to get out there with the fast guys. Maybe I could pick up a tow. Maybe I can take some advantage there somehow. Other people like to wait till later. I think they're waiting for the track to rubber in a bit more, because that does make a big factor with these cars, is how sticky the track is.
Yeah, you need all the grip you can get, let's face it. 10% throttle can spin up the rears, and he's just on board with Tony Klusterman now, and he's flying through the right, left, right. It's unbelievable. I couldn't even imagine entering corners like that at that sort of speed in these cars. But he just seems to make it work, doesn't he, Clyde? He's just unbelievable.
He does, yeah. And I'm just looking at the practice times, and Tony was the only person in the 146s. So, everybody else is 147s and beyond, but Tony managed a 146.8. So it'd be interesting to see what he can do in quali. Whether the track state's changed, or whether he's pumped the tyres up and lowered the fuel. See if he can get a quicker time in quali than he did in practice, and also see if the likes of Johnny Brandon and Victor Tanaka, see if they can get anywhere near him.
Yeah, it's just.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Go on after you, Pete.
No, I was going to say, some of the racers like to reduce the amount of fuel in the tank as well, and I think Tony goes out and does a variety of different fuel runs, and even in qualifying, whereas I can only drive this car like as fast as I need to in qualifying if I've got the tank full, because it holds the car to the track.
Yeah, it's that extra weight over the back wheel certainly helps with traction.
I'm just trying to get my head around how Tony just wrestles this thing around so easily. Just makes it look so simple from the inputs that we get anyway, as well from the wheel. You just want to get on the power as soon as you can in these things, and it's not as simple as that.
No, you got to let it roll the corner.
Yeah.
Like you said before, 10% of the throttle can spin up the wheels and the tyres anyway. And if you've not got all 4 pointing in the same direction, you're going to spin. And you see, even the best racers. What did you say?
So I can spin this thing in neutral.
Most probably I could as well, to be honest with you. I could too. I'm just watching Tony at the moment then. Johnny Brandon is actually fastest at the moment with a 147.345. Only a couple of thousandths behind him though is George McClay in the TechSense Fitstyle Motorsport car. Did get a nice view of this before actually. It's a very, very pretty machine, that TechSense car, isn't it?
No.
Well,
I had to say that in case Sam's watching.
Oh well, there we go then.
just looking at the times, I didn't see what the track temp was for the practice session. It's up to I think about 69 Fahrenheit at the moment, and the times seem slightly slower than the practice session.
Maybe if the track's rubbered up a little bit, it might be taking a bit of the grip away, maybe. When it gets past a point, it sort of goes off a cliff, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think it does. And the traction zones, you can certainly see that there's a lot of rubber on the track.
There's a lot of cars feathering the throttle at the minute as well, so that would suggest that there's not a great deal of grip out there at the moment.
Tony's more than half a second slower than what he did in practice. But then again, you don't know whether he got a toe down one of the long straight.
That's very true. Very true. Some of these guys, I'm not going to tell you what they call it when they just go to set fast laps by any means necessary. But it's a something waving contest. Victor Tanaka here in the Never Quit Racing Holden. Very pretty livery, that. Very, very pretty livery. And we've got two classes tonight, haven't we, Clyde? Same as usual?
No, we haven't. No, everybody's in it together. There's no team championship, no cup and club. It's just a one-off. Everybody in the same championship. See how you get on.
Okay, I think it's because we've made do with some of the data that we use in the other broadcasts. I've got two classes on my screen here, but they are showing us overall in the standings on the left-hand side. It's just that some of them have a little white highlight next to them rather than a black one. You can see that the windscreen banners are different as well, with Racetech adorning them. Of course, shout out to Racetech for sponsoring the series. It's fantastic to have them on board, and it was great to meet the man himself at Silverstone, actually, with you, of course, as well, Clyde. It was good fun, wasn't it?
Yeah, it certainly was, yes. We did get a bit drunk, and it was a really good weekend, to be fair. So I'm looking forward to the next time David's in the country.
Yeah, we got all the way over from New Zealand as well. Fantastic commitment to come see everything that was going on this terrible little island that we live on that's sort of slightly imploding politically at the moment, but we're not going to get into that. Gary Croft is hopefully not going to get into that tree either as he goes around the right-hander, clips a bit of curb, gets his foot down the very long straight. Just see on board now how quick these cars go as you climb up the hill. So much power in these machines that they can just tackle anything. But of course that makes us spin a lot more.
Yeah, I think on this track as well, some of the curbs are probably a little bit more violent than they look. Because I'm seeing the back end of the car jump out quite a bit on some of the curb.
Yeah.
I think that's just that they got their settings set to stiff and no bump rebound. Because it's kicking its back wheel up, isn't it?
Pete with the technical analysis there that I have no clue about. But he's probably right. Let's face it.
He's probably just read that somewhere.
Don't give away my secrets.
The one thing that you have to consider here as well is that there's not really any runoff area. So when coming into where Gary Croft is now, where you're going into a corner and you're on the brakes while still turning, if you just misjudge that slightly, then you dip a wheel on the grass. The car's around, especially in these things as well. It's, there's very little room for mistake around here.
Yeah, and especially with the iRacing grass model as well, which is more like green ice. There is a little bit of grip on the grass in real life, believe it or not, but certainly not in iRacing.
No, definitely not. Definitely not.
No,
I think
it's a one-way journey every time.
Brandon goes fastest again. Goes even quicker. 147.038. McClay 147.347. So not too far behind his best laps so far. We look back at Tony Klosterman, who's just coming to the end of his lap. He's not going to get another one in the session, as it is now going to come to an end. Let's see how Tony does. He's done a personal best sector 1.
He's a bit loose coming out of that last turn, though.
Yeah, it doesn't look like he's carried the momentum just as well. Let's see how he gets on. Oh, he pipped second, though. 147.188, so manages to get onto the front row of the grid. You can probably hear him on the radio in the background because I've not turned my iRacing voice chat off like a professional. Trying to see.
Neither have I.
Trying to see who else is on track. Well, Andrew Hoffman isn't.
11 laps.
He's just gone into the wall. Greg Carr here then into the long right-hander, a double right-hander around the tree, and he's backed off by the look of it there. Yep. So that'll be the end of the session for Greg as well, as Andrew Hoffman's car with no front end.
Can be about 11 laps.
They're talking about fuel in the background. You can probably hear them. So
12,
they're trying to see how many laps they can get in.
More, I don't think.
Discussing fuel. Hopefully they don't swear. We can't trust them for that, can we, Clive?
Most definitely not. I don't know though. Should we say the gobby drivers are not here tonight because they're in the commentary booth?
That's very true. Yeah, that is very, very true. But yeah, that will be.
Although I reckon if Tony gets nerfed off by anybody, I think it's going to be blue language time, I reckon.
Well, you're going to see then. Here is the grid. Johnny Brandon taking pole position, 147.038. Tony Klosterman joins him on the front row. George McClay, third for TechSense Bitstyle Motorsport with Victor Tanaka, fourth for NQR. Richard Warmingham is fifth with Gary Croft joining him sixth on the grid. Greg Carr is in seventh alongside Anthony Woodward on the fourth row. Andrew Hoffman is ninth with Matthias Tuleja, and I'm still not sure how to say that name, and even though it sounded Dutch. Michael Frost will line up at the back of the field in 11th place for slow motion racing. So we should, by any means, have the guys ready to go in just a moment. We'll get the good old track map open.
On the plus side, we haven't got Snozzle Bert Cumbersome racing with us tonight.
Yeah, Clyde will tell you the story of this.
I was in the race.
Basically, he was in what was it? Was it an official race? It was, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was an official dirt race.
Me and Pete have been trying our hand at dirt oval racing, which is quite funny.
It's not funny, it's hilarious. I've nearly peed myself laughing a few times. It's just crazy.
I fully recommend it to anyone who hasn't tried it. It's brilliant.
It is good fun to do, especially on the little ovals as well. But we're going to be getting ready to go now then, boys. The lights are coming on. Johnny Brandon there in the XVR Sim Racing Ford will lead them away from the line. The revs rise. And the lights are out and they're off. Great start by Brandon. Dips the rear end down and gets flying. Tony Klusterman trying to chase him. Looks a little bit bunched up further back in the order though. There's McClay. He's got the NQR cars all around him. Plenty of them. We'll go to a bit of a further view away. That's a bit too far away. That's the blimp. We don't want to go that far.
Well, there's a bit of collision at the rear.
Yeah, that looked like. Was it Mr. Hoffman got involved in that?
Yeah, I think so.
Says Anthony Woodward crashed apparently, according to what we call our event viewer on the live timing software. Looking at Warmingham then, 6th place at the moment. He's got NQR Fords either side of him at the moment in Greg Carr and Gary Croft. So, and they've both got the same initials, so he'll be going mental. But not too much of a bad start there, Clyde. A little bit of contact, like Pete said, but nothing too detrimental.
Yeah, I just had a look at the Woodward Hoffman thing, and it looked like a bad case of netcode. I'm now watching Ant again, and he's been off again. He seems to be really struggling with his car at the moment.
Yeah, sometimes it's difficult to get used to the car again, no matter how much you've driven it when it comes to a first lap. If you've been on it in practice and keeping the tyres warm, and you start from a cold start again, it's a bit of a wake-up call sometimes.
He's struggling with that. It's got damage.
Yeah. Let's have a look.
I think he's snapped the front axle or something.
He's gone past the pits.
Oh yeah, it's Mr. Frost is going slow with some damage there as well. Quick look at what happened there.
Yeah.
I do apologise to Apex Racing TV for using their little replay slide there. Oh, it looks like can't quite see what happened to him there, unfortunately. It didn't seem to come up properly, but Johnny Brandon then leads him at the end of lap 1. Tony Klusterman 2nd place, George McClay behind him, then it's Victor Tanaka who has a bird's eye view of the guys in front of him. And then we've got quite a gap back. Whoa, Tanaka sideways on the power, goes onto the grass, loses a little bit of time but not too much. That was a real moment there, but that just shows the car control these boys have though, Clyde. They're just so used to them, they can just get their foot down, and if it does slide, oh well, I'll just catch it.
Yeah, they sometimes some of the things that they do, you just can't. I've followed some of these fast guys and tried to do what they do, and I just end up dying every time.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat really. When you're following someone around a track like this, Pete, because of how narrow it is and how few overtaking opportunities you get, do you reckon it is one way you just sort of take a conservative approach to it, just hang back a little bit?
Yeah, you're waiting for mistakes on tracks like this. Although I don't think Rich Warmingham's going to be waiting for much because he's quite close to the back of the car in front. You do get a lot of drivers that are very, very confident. They're very sure of the grip levels, and they'll just put it on the inside of you with no notice at all. Rich is lining him up now, actually.
Yeah, just on board with him.
Yeah, he's not going to do it there. You have to be very careful though. There's often just one line through a lot of these corners. There's not like multiple opportunities to either. And this car going around the outside is just not an option. I've seen it very rarely. I think Tony's done it a couple of times. You're looking for a standard. Put your car in the right situation on the inside of somebody, and turn in, or force them to turn in later. Like Richard's gonna. No, he's not. He's backing off it. He's trying to go around the long way. It's not going to work.
I was hoping he was going to prove you wrong then a little bit.
Definitely. So yeah, patience is everything.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think the thing is as well,
from.
Because obviously this is a sprint race format. If it was a feature or an endurance race, you get the time to spend a couple of laps behind somebody and see where you're faster and they're weaker, and try and either force them into a mistake or force them into a position on the track where you can get past. But these 20-minute sprint races, you haven't got that luxury.
Yeah, you're right there. You don't have the time to sort of hold back and, like you say, analyse your opportunities when trying to go forward. But a lot of these guys do go into this with quite a level head on them. I mean, I'm one for just going, oh, sod it, just send it. And it doesn't pay off all the time. Sometimes it does, you know, you take the risk and sometimes it can work, but yeah, in a sprint race like this, you kind of have to do that. But over the course of a night, I suppose, when you get 3 races, you know, there's always the other chances to do it.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, if you don't get, like you say, if you don't get it done in race 1 and you end up somewhere near the back, you know that you're going to be somewhere near the front for race 2. So, you know, I don't think we've ever had anybody win all 3 races in this sprint series. So, you know, the format does work and there's chances for everybody.
Yeah, that's what's nice about these reverse grids as well. There's a couple of other series as well that use similar ideas with the reverse grids, and yeah, it can provide great racing over the course of a night because you don't get the same results all the time. Just looking at this battle of the top 4 at the moment, starting to spread out a little bit at the moment. The closest 2 are actually Tony Kloosterman and George McClay, only about 7/10 of a second behind him there. He's just in touching distance, but not enough to launch an attack yet. Johnny Brandon is just managing the pace at the front. But that's kind of what Johnny does best, really, isn't it, Pete? I mean, if he has the pace on his side to get in front, he just sort of controls it really well, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's a very balanced driver. He's had some issues in some races. I can't remember which track it was now, but he just didn't get on with it at all. Do you remember which one that was?
I know Tony doesn't like Daytona, and I know he doesn't like Spa.
Yeah, I was talking about Johnny. There was a race where he was unusually slower than he normally is. But anyway, but no, he seems to be very good at keeping like a 2-second gap to the car behind. Once he's got it, he doesn't then say, I need a 10-second gap. He just seems to be able to manage and be comfortable with a 2-second gap to the second.
Yeah, he's just one of them drivers that can just maintain it really well. As Tony locks up quite heavily there into the right-hander. He's lost a little bit of his gap now. 0.4 of a second back to George McClay into the last few corners. They're really chucking it over the curb there, and you can see just how close they get to the grass out of the final corner. When you're getting on the power, that's got to be a really scary bit of track to go around there.
I think it would be for you or me, but these guys really do race this car all the time. I mean, me and Clyde are talking about having a lark around on the dirt racing, but these guys don't do anything but race this car.
Yeah.
So that they know exactly how close to that bit of grass they can get, and it would be something unusual that puts them off. Something. Oh, you got. If you put your cameras on Gary Croft and Rich now, they are absolutely together. Rich keeps locking up his tyres as he goes into corners, which is that's gonna make him suffer when it gets to the end of the race because Gary's not doing that.
Yeah, it's one of those where if you push too hard in the beginning, then you know you can get issues further down the line when you slow your pace at the end. When someone else may have been just sticking behind you, looking after tyres, they've got the ability to attack, and you've got a very sort of limited ability to defend. So it's an interesting dice between these two because they are very close together still. And Rich has been fantastic in this car. I mean, I've raced against him before in a couple of GT series, and I couldn't match him in that. But even in this, just the pace difference between the two of us was incredible. He's really got his hands on this car, and he's got a good run by the look of it here, actually. You know what, actually, I went on board then, and Croft was pulling away a bit originally, but he's got the slipstream.
Yeah, he got a better launch ahead of them in second, third and fourth. They're doing a little slipstream train.
Onto the brakes they go. You can see closing gradually, but you know, it just comes back to the whole point that he's just going to be sticking behind him and just seeing what he's doing at the moment. We're not even halfway through the race yet, so plenty of time left to go. 9 minutes in, the last few corners. You can see different lines being taken by the two of them around there as well. And of course, with such a long straight at the end of this lap, Clyde, you've got to make sure you carry as much momentum as possible.
Yeah, I've just been watching the Croft and Warmingham battle.
There he goes. He's just
Rich
locked
is
up.
Yeah, he put a wheel on the grass there. What I was about to say was Gary is driving very smoothly. Rich is wringing the neck out of the car.
I agree. Yeah,
he's a lot deeper on the brakes than what Gary is. and I think that's why he keeps closing up. But it looks again like it's one of those tracks that is nigh on impossible to make a pass.
It's very narrow, and like Pete was saying before, there's only one line around a lot of these corners, to be honest. So you've got to really just make sure that you are following the guy in front closely enough, but not too close that if they make a mistake or slow up, that you can't sort of adjust your trajectory to match that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. And, you know, I don't know what the gap went out to then between these two guys, but, you know, Rich will close it up again.
Victor's got the tractor beam on,
Mr.
well, the name escaped. McClay, George.
Onto the brakes they go, side by side, a little bit of a lock
It's not
up.
going to work.
Like you said, Pete, around the outside doesn't work, does it?
Nah, not on, definitely not here.
No, out of all places. So back into order as they were then. What were we saying, sorry, Clyde?
Pass.
We had a sip of cider since then.
A couple.
Just looking back on from the gearbox of George McLean out, Victor Tanaka, that very angry livery on the NQR car. Fantastic to see. He's got his nose down the inside, actually. A tiny bit of contact, maybe, with the rear corner.
So.
Yeah, there was never a gap there. I think Victor knew it as well, and he backed out.
Yeah, he's trying to pressure him into a mistake now. The car that I'm most interested in is Tony. He's locking up his fronts on all the slow corners.
Yeah, he was struggling early on with that as well. Rich Warmingham has just, well, he dropped out for a second then and dropped back in, but the gap's closed down again to Gary Croft now. So we've got battles developing all over the place after the halfway point of the race. So it's not spreading out, to say the least, but...
Victor.
Yeah, he's really on
Careful. Oh, he's doing him.
Jaws went wide there. But he's still in with a shout because this is a right-hander.
That was the mistake he was looking for, but it's not come at the right point of the track. He tries to get a cutback though.
He's gonna, yeah, definitely. Drag race down here now. This could end in tears at the top of the hill.
You said it, I was thinking it. Great racing by these pair.
Victor's not backing out of this, I don't think.
Is George going to? They're so close, I'm literally tensing at my desk. Still side by side on the brakes. Tanaka gets it done. Still side by side though. George has still got a tiny bit of overlap. Is there going to be contact? He bounces on the curb. Tanaka gets it done. Bit of a slide on the exit, but he is in front. Fantastic racing by these pair. Lovely move by Victor Tanaka.
That was awesome.
Yeah, that was very, very nice. He got the cutback. He knew exactly what he wanted to do, didn't he? As soon as he got into that right-hander.
But look at the gap now to Tony. So I don't think the George McClay Victor Tanaka battle's over yet.
Into turn one they go. Lock up there from Tanaka on the front right. George went a bit deep on the brakes as well though, so he doesn't benefit massively from it.
Be interesting to see if Victor can close that gap on Tony, and then...
Oh, not like that!
As I say, that he... that was well held and well avoided.
Yeah, that could have
so
been...
we'll forget the Victor and Tony battle.
That could have gone a lot worse, but that was beautiful car control there by Victor Tanaka. Just have a quick look and see.
How did he even get out of that?
That's proper commentator's curse, that.
That was a great hold, though, by Tanaka. Just watching it by dips a wheel, goes completely sideways. And as he tries to get back on the power, he's on the curb. Tiny bit of contact, maybe, with George, but awesome stuff. Really good car control. And that's, of course, why he's so fast in this car. They know how it behaves and know what to look for. I'm just going to take a quick look back now at Greg Carr chasing down Warmingham and Croft. Go on board with him so you've got the bird's eye view as they go around the tree. Which I don't think is there anymore, actually, in real life, unfortunately.
Yeah, I heard that, yeah.
It's a real shame. It's a legendary part of the circuit.
But what do they call the corner now? It used to be called Oak Tree, now it's called nothing.
No tree. Nope tree.
Stump.
Stump. Stumpy corner. So, through the left, right, left, onto the brakes. Another lock up there from Croft. But it's quite an oscillating circuit, isn't it? So you'd kind of expect that, because as the car goes over a crest into a corner, you know, all the weight unloads, the brake snaps, and it just, you know, that tyre is just going to go, haha, we're not spinning around anymore.
Yeah, definitely. I get caught out like that all the time. especially at this track, because the elevation changes are quite dramatic here. It's a bit like some of
Victor
the
pressuring George again.
Yeah, he's right. Oh, he was right on him. He just got lots and lots of spin up as he came out of that turn. George is locking wheels now.
Really good stuff to watch these guys chasing each other around such a narrow circuit and getting it right every time as well. They only making tiny mistakes here and there, but Tanaka's body language here though, Clyde, really aggressive. He's making it very clear that he wants to pass George again.
He's certainly not giving up on this. He's going to have another go, which unfortunately means the pair of them are just going to lose time to Tony. But at least we get this good battle out of.
Yeah, definitely. I'm sure we'd rather see this than have to just keep counting the time that they're taking out of Tony if they do. But here he is again, look, trying to get the cutback. He goes wide into the corner, make sure he clips the apex. Oh, a bit of a slide though. That's going to stop him getting the speed down the straight.
Yeah, it was a bit greedy on the gas there.
I was sort of half looking forward to Victor catching Tony and George being behind Victor. And then, what would Victor do? Would he attack his teammate or just concentrate on defending from George? But maybe we'll get that in another race tonight. Yeah,
you never know. These races are all so different, despite being so close together. The action is always change.
Yeah, Victor needs to sort out the launch from the corner. He's spinning up on quite a lot of the slow corner.
And obviously over the 3 races the conditions change so much. So this is a morning session. The track's now at 71 Fahrenheit. The next one's going to be an afternoon session where the track will be at its hottest. Yeah. And then the third one we do a sunset one. So not only have you got the cooler track, but you've got the fading light as well. So you're right, they are all totally different races.
It's going to be interesting to see whether that changes the approach that these drivers take as well. You can see Tanaka just showing his nose at every corner now. He's just showing George, look, I'm here, mate. I'm in your mirrors anyway. I've got this bright yellow all over my car. I'm not going to let you ignore it. And he's just putting the pressure on, and that's all he needs to do. But someone that's not under pressure at the moment is Johnny Brandon. He's just driven away with it again, Pete.
Yeah, he has, yeah. He's managing his gap very, very well. It's very professional. The concertina effect is back with the guys, Gary Croft, Rich Warmingham and Greg Carr. They keep closing up when they get to the slower corners, the tighter corners. But Johnny's doing a spectacular job at the minute. And he's, contrary to what I said before, he's not managing the gap, he's actually extending it.
Yeah,
I don't know whether he's seen something.
He's just driving away in and out, really.
Pretty much, yeah.
Warmingham's in a tough situation here because he'll want to really attack and go after Croft and try his hardest, but Greg Carr is putting so much pressure on him at the moment.
Victor's having another move.
Yep. So I was just going to say, Victor, you can't get a Rizzler paper between those 2 cars at the moment.
He really is going for it.
Yeah, Victor is really quick through, I don't know what they're called, 6A, 6, 7, 8, and up to the stump corner.
We've got drama.
Bad things happen behind.
Yeah, Greg Carr has hit someone. Gary Croft is lost out as well from it, his teammate, so we'll have a quick look back at that. Oh, that's just him coming back on track. We don't want that. Oh, both the NQR cars off then. So here we go.
Oh, he's tried to do him around the outside, and that's never going to work.
Greg Carr's gone in. Oh, he's gone in too deep, and out of all people, he just hits his teammate, completely takes him out. I heard him saying sorry over the radio a moment ago and wondered what it could have been. Real shame like that, though, but that's just the sort of minimal margins we're dealing with here, isn't it, guys? Like, you just go a little bit deeper on the brakes and you can completely ruin the race, not just for yourself, but your teammate as well.
Yeah, he's obviously gone in thinking, if I put my car on the right-hand side here, I'll have the line for the next corner. Which is good theory, as long as you can stop your car. And his tyres will have been liquid, and he's unfortunate enough to have wiped out his own teammate. I'd love to say that I've not done that before, but I think Clyde can attest to the fact that I have done many times.
Victor, by the way, is right behind McClay, coming out of the right-hander onto the back straight now. We've only got 30 seconds of the race to go, so I think we may get one more lap in, actually. We'll have to see, but look at the run that Tanaka's got down the left-hand side of George McClay. There he goes. But he's going to be on the outside.
This left turns into a right.
Oh, George has gone deep, though. And Victor's made it work.
He's pushed that, hasn't he? He's pushed that issue right to its limit.
Mind games there by Victor Tanaka. George McClay just went a bit deep, trying to defend it on the brakes, lost it. It's a good thing that the contact didn't turn one of them around, to be fair. It's nice that they can both carry on, but Tanaka now onto the podium. But Johnny Brandon onto his final lap of the race, leading the way now by 5.6 seconds. So doing a fine job.
That's dominance right there, isn't it?
In a 20-minute race as well, to pull that on someone like Tony Klusterman is just outstanding. Rich Warmingham will be happy, of course, though. He's in 5th place now and clear of the 2 pesky NQR Fords. Greg Carr has 3 and a bit seconds over Matthias Telesia. I'm really sorry, Matthias, if I'm saying that name wrong. I really do apologise, mate.
Actually, hats off to Matthias, because I've not seen him race before. And he's kept it on the black stuff all the way around, which isn't easy in this car. So whether he's got history in it, I don't know, but
he's chasing after Greg as well. Actually, the gap is coming down because of Greg's damage, so you never know, he could get another place out of this. But the 2 closest on track at the moment are still George McClay and Victor Tanaka for this podium fight, but I think Victor's pretty much got it sorted out at the moment. We'll see, of course, in these last few laps, or the last few corners.
Yeah, you get the feeling that George is probably slowing him up somewhat.
Yeah.
Victor having possibly better lines into certain corners, probably some very specific corners that lead onto high-speed straights. And now he's got clear of him, he's putting a bit of distance.
And we look to Johnny Brandon then.
Good drive, Johnny.
Into the final few corners. Tony's already saying good drive, Johnny, to him over the radio. Already congratulating him like the gentleman that he is. So around the final corner then, Johnny Brandon takes your first win of the evening for XVR Sim Racing. Great dominant drive there. Tony Klusterman comes home in 2nd place for NQR Holden. Victor Tanaka, very, very well-deserved podium there in 3rd place. George McClay, great scrap until the end. And Rich Warmingham going around the final corner. He's going to be very happy to take 5th after the incredible pressure from the 2 GCs in NQR. For 6th and 7th, sorry, that's going to be Gary Croft finishing 6th.
Sorry, Johnny's busy drifting around corners.
Oh, we'll have a look
Celebrate.
at this. Oh, look at him go. Fantastic stuff from Johnny Brandon. Love it. Absolutely brilliant stuff to watch.
He's a good lad as well. He's a nice bloke.
Oh, he is, yeah. He's a top lad, is Mr. Brandon. Really good guy. He's really into what he does. I tell you what, he's done a lot of stuff in his lifetime as Johnny Brandon. I had a chat with him a while ago, and yeah, he's a very experienced bloke when it comes to the motorsport world. Oh, he's made a mess of that one though. Where the grass goes, lights it up anyway. You know what these boys are like. So we're going to bring up the results then. We'll see whether this will work or not, because it'll probably say put your heading here. No, it actually says Racetech Euro V8 Sprint Series. There we go. Johnny Brandon taking your race win. Tony Klusterman 2nd place with Victor Tanaka rounding out the podium. Then it's George McClay in 4th. Richard Warmingham finishing in 5th for XVR. And then you've got Gary Croft, Greg Carr, Matthias Telesia, and then you've got Andrew Hoffman in 9th place. Michael Frost just under a minute down from the leader. And Anthony Woodward ended up finishing in 11th place, just over a minute down. So that was a good way to start the evening, wasn't it, boys?
That was awesome. That was a great race.
Really,
I like it when you got individual battles at different points in the field. Arguably better if it was at the very front, but otherwise it was a brilliant.
What did you make of it, Clyde?
Yeah, I think to me the track looked tricky. Although these boys made it look easy. I think it just proves that, with the right drivers and the right car, it doesn't matter if you've got a small grid. We had lots of battles going on there, and the racing was fantastic. The George and Victor battle that we had, that went on and on and on and on. We had teammates taking each other out. It all happened in a 20-minute race with only 11 cars on the grid.
It's very, very true. But that's the thing as well. We come back to what we were talking about earlier on in the broadcast, that, the grids and the grid sizes, they're not everything. You can get great racing from it. I mean, I know that you watched my touring car championship as well. We had a 4-car grid in the last round, and the racing was insane. It was absolutely brilliant stuff. So it's good to see that it reflects that in all disciplines as well. What we're going to do now, though, is take, what would you say, 10-15 minute break, Clyde?
Yeah, 10-minute break. Well, there's it takes me a couple of minutes to set the session up, and then there's a 10-minute practice session to get everybody in. So yeah, 10-minute break, and we'll be back.
Banging stuff. So if you stick around, me, Clyde, and Pete will be back with you in about 10-15 minutes' time. Do not go away. Just getting into the second race of the evening now. I'll be with you in a few minutes' time. And we will have what we call an afternoon session. I know a couple of people watching are probably fond of one of them, but it's a bit of a different thing in iRacing. It just means that the race and the session itself will be in afternoon settings, or sort of midday-ish. So the sun will be higher up, and it'll be much hotter. And this is a very chill song, so enjoy it. So we'll join the guys back again then, Clyde and Pete. Afternoon, gentlemen, or evening, I should say.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Back for race 2 of the night. Just a minute and a half left of practice then. Of course, now we have a reverse grid for this one. So when it comes to making moves to make your way back up the order, how do you reckon these boys are going to get on? Are we going to see a multitude of different talents, or is it going to be quite shared?
I have no idea. I've never done it. I'm usually at the front of this race.
Well, the last time we did it, we spoke at length about how difficult it was going to be for the fast guys to get back to the front, and then within 3 laps they were all at the front again.
Yeah,
That was the first race, wasn't it?
I know the pain of being one of the drivers that isn't at the front. You just sit and watch them go past and think, how the hell have they managed that? It's just insane.
However, it is a very tight track. Can the fast guys show patience? They're going to get a lot better exits out of the slow corners onto the fast straights. But, do they feel they need to force the issue in the twisty sections to get past the slower guys? We'll have to wait and see. The track temperature's up to 104 degrees now, so there's not going to be a lot of grip out there for anybody.
No, definitely not. So it's going to be interesting to see who struggles and who doesn't. As is always the way with these things. But that's the beauty of iRacing. Obviously these series and the sort of, the detail they go into with this stuff. They can make it so you get into a session 1 minute and everything's fine. Get another one and, it goes completely the other way for you. So we'll look at the grid for the second race of the evening. Anthony Woodward takes pole position alongside Michael Frost. Andrew Hoffman will be third with Matthias, I don't know how to say his name, in fourth. Greg Carr fifth, Gary Croft in sixth, the two dancing duo of the NQR team from that one. Richard Warmingham is seventh with George McClay in eighth. And then you've got Victor Tanaka, who put on a lot of pressure in that race. He gets to do it again now from ninth on the grid, followed by Tony Kloosman 10th, and race 1 winner Johnny Brandon will start from 11th.
I really don't know which car to look at the minute.
Yeah.
This is going to be proper tasty.
It really is. That's a good word for it. Tasty, definitely. So we look at Anthony Woodward then on pole in the very, very pretty NQR Ford Falcon. You can hear them all selecting their gears. Ready to go. The lights are coming on. The revs will rise, as indeed will mine. And they're away. A little bit of wheel spin off the line for Woodward. Mike Frost does the same. Good start though. They seem to get away pretty well. Oh, just
Warming
going
him's on the grass.
Oh no! That was Gary Croft that he's turned in the background. He went to try and find a gap down the inside.
And we got a spinner nearly on the first corner.
Yeah, that would have been, I believe, Greg Carr in the NQR machine. Oh, real shame for the contact there. We'll look back in the field though. George McClay trying to push his way through. The two NQR cars behind him as well. Really
Michael
close
Frost is
racing.
doing a good job here of trying to keep ahead.
Yeah, he's just trying to hold the pressure off, I suppose. Oh, George has got down the inside though. Nice stuff, side by side.
That was forceful.
Shoulders out. I've heard commentators describe that as a braille pass before. Oh, and he's done it again. That's Warmingham again in contact, surely. No, it's Brandon. It's Johnny Brandon involved. I thought it was Mr. Warmingham. We'll have another quick look at that.
And Tony. That's going to end in lots and lots of arguing, I think.
Oh.
That's all good for the podcast.
Isn't it just?
No, it really is. We're going to have a quick look at what happened again from on board with Johnny. Oh, he's just on the grass then. I don't know if Tony knew he was there, you know. He's just...
He won't have done.
I don't think he was trying to run him out of road or anything, but... Yeah, the contact unfortunately did happen. Woodward running away with it at the moment. Greg Carr, his teammate, second place, under pressure from Richard Warmingham then. But wow, what a frantic start. Richard Warmingham, to be honest with you, started 7th on the grid. He's up to 2nd now. He's got to gain 5 places. Is he going to get it done? Tell you what, there you go, Pete. He's got it done around the outside.
Oh, or has he? Oh, yeah, he has.
Absolutely brilliant stuff. Andrew Hoffman chasing him there as well in the white, red and black car, and then George McClay in the white, red and black car. They've both got different stripes at the side and different colours. It's almost like alternating liveries. George gets a great run out the last corner. He's going to dispose
on him now.
He's going to dispose of him down there. What do you think of that, Clyde? That's a bit of a mental first lap.
Yeah, I did have a look back at the Brandon Croft incident, and it was very similar to the Brandon and Klosterman incident. Johnny took to the pit lane exit, and Gary drifted across, and there was just 2 cars into one, and it didn't go. Looked at the Brandon Klosterman thing, and it was exactly the same. I agree with what you said on the comms there, that it looked like Tony just didn't realise Johnny was there.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any blame there.
No, Johnny had.
Oh, Gary Croft.
That's exactly what Johnny said as well.
It was Greg Carr just at a right moment then. He went off at turn 1 a moment ago. He locked up and went straight on, but he's just had an absolute nightmare coming back out of the slow right-hander. We'll have a quick look. For some reason, this is showing us Tony Klosterman in the pit lane. Oh, he's just on the power. Around the right-hander, clips the curb. Oh, it just tries to get away from him. Keeps it just out of the wall, though. Oh, wow, it's all kicking off here, boys. Warmingham up to 2nd. Clay 3rd.
The other half of Team GC's just overtaken.
Team GC, I like that. They're going to be known as that then, these pair from now on. Mr. Croft and Mr. Carr. Gary and Greg. Sounds like a radio show. Michael Frost is in 6th place at the moment, chasing Andrew Hoffman. Slow-mo racing. With Victor Tanaka just ahead of them in 4th place. And funnily enough, Clyde, ahead of him, his next target is going to be George McClay.
Yeah, I'm on board with Victor at the moment, just trying to see how he wrestles this car around the track.
We'll do the same.
He's just pulled a very bold move on Andrew Hoffman, who, to be fair, didn't put up too much of a fight. But Victor is using every inch of this track to try and close the gap to George.
He's doing a good job at the moment, is George. He's done the fastest lap of the race, a 1:49.7. No one else is outside the 150s at the moment. Not even, well, barely even the 51s. 50.7 is the next fastest lap by anyone, I think. Oh no, Warmingham, sorry, 50.2. There you go. You need to be able to read to be a commentator, ladies and gentlemen. It's part of the... if there's an application process, that's part of it. You need to be able to read. But we are on board with Tanaka still, and he's just... You can see how hesitant they are trying to get on with it. I'm miming the sort of steering wheel inputs here in front of me. You can just see where they're, trying not to put too much lock on. You barely have to in these cars. They just work. And
yeah, there's a bit of a traffic jam behind Victor at the minute. Headed up by Michael, and then you got Andrew, Gary and Greg. I think that's going to reverse event. Ooh, and at the front, I think Ant Woodward has been caught.
Oh, it's just getting a bit hairy there for Mr. Frost. He's starting to defrost.
Rich Warmingham is about to take the lead, I reckon.
We'll have a Ganders.
He's done him.
Oh no, he's not. There's the contact. Oh, and it does it again, and it's going to spin him both round. Oh, it's got
And a
messy.
gift for George.
Yep. Absolutely gifted.
Happy Christmas,
Oh,
George.
and behind there's a disaster as well. Who's that in the wall? Michael Frost. Unlucky.
Oh, Mr. Frost is off as well. Nightmare.
Victor got through that mess as well, so he's now up to second.
Let's have a look at what happened with Frosty. So Hoffman goes down the inside. Oh, Frosty just goes way too late on the brakes.
Yeah, he's on his own there, isn't he?
Yeah, very much so. And just in the
He's
middle
on
of
a
that as
different
well,
track.
Carr got down the inside of Croft. We'll have another quick look at the... Oh, it's just...
There was a bit of everything in that, weren't there? There was contact, there was net code, there was everything.
Yeah, Warmingham had him down the inside. It just seemed like he turned in on him a little bit. Woodward then straightened him up, but then it seemed to like have a secondary contact where it just launched the car in the air where the wheels clipped, and then it spun him again. But George McClay is going to be laughing all the way to the bank right now, but then he's not going to be laughing when he realises that Victor Tanaka's the car behind him once again.
Yeah, and I'm sticking to Victor quite well at the minute, which is interesting.
We'll have to see what he can do about closing the gap and catching up.
Greg Carr's about to line up Andrew Hoffman behind.
Seems like good fun this though. I kind of wish I was out there doing it.
Oh, he's done him. Yep, Hoffman's given that away, I think.
Yeah, it seemed like he made it nice and easy for him. Let's just have another quick look. We just flicked to it as he was going past him. Through the right-hander. Oh, Hoffman just runs wide on the exit, and yeah, he just doesn't floor it on the grass because the car would have just gone around then.
He's about to get... Oh, no, he's not. He's pulled out. The second part of Team GC's going to get him in a minute, though.
Don't know whether they're going to pull you up on who's going to be designated as the first part or the second part.
GC1 and GC2.
I hope they don't race in GC3. Anyway, Andrew Hoffman then. That was terrible, I do apologise.
Yeah, that was worse than one of mine,
The
that.
viewers are going to go down the roof. I hope not. We've got Hoffman then looking back at Gary Croft right now. Let's see if Gary tries to do him on the brakes. No, he brakes early actually. Takes it nice and careful. Gets it turned in though. Hoffman's locked up. Oh, there's contact. A little bit of contact. Hoffman slows down just to play it safe, get out of the way. Lights him up. Mateus just, I tell you what, he's been really under the radar tonight, Mateus Telasia. He's just sneaked through and just gone, yeah, that's another freebie. I'm up to 6 now.
You say under the radar, but he's solid.
Yeah.
Oh, what happened?
Well, Hoffman's ended up in Detroit.
And he's reset.
Yeah, something went very wrong there. That just went straight on. Have another look. It is the front right of the car that was damaged, so he turns it in and it's not
It does
behaving.
nothing.
Yeah, it breaks, nothing happens. He gets annoyed with it and just boots it. So, looking back to the front then, Tanaka seems to have dropped Woodward a little bit there. The closest two on track are actually Gary Croft and Mateus Telasia. 5th and 6th place.
Yeah, and I think Mateus is drawing him in. I'm not sure whether Gary's got any damage or not. Can't see that.
Well, in all fairness, actually, because I've got the liveries from the full series, Mateus has actually got one of what I would consider the pro banners on, when Gary Croft has not. He's got one of the club banners.
Oh, he's lining him up now.
Mateus has been brilliant here.
Oh, he has. That's a really mature drive he's done. All right, he's not at the front, but that's still good.
Yeah, definitely. It's all about maintaining your position and getting the most out of each race. At the end of the day, it's all about points. These championships aren't about winning every single race. We'd all love to, but not everybody can. Clyde will tell you.
Oh, most definitely.
and me.
Yeah, and me.
In my head, I win every race.
Oh yeah, if I end up getting to the end of the race, then I'm happy.
George has pulled a little gap now on Victor of about 3 seconds.
Just watching Mateus, and he's just smoothly guiding the car around. Seems to close the gap.
I'm looking at his livery. I can't work out what it is.
I really like it. To be fair, it's nice and subtle.
It's a bit like a circuit board. Perhaps he can let us know what it is.
Yeah, somebody needs to tell us, because we're clueless.
I can't.
I like it.
We'll have to see. We'll have to have a look. Like it though. It works. It's nice and subtle. It's quite John Player special like, isn't it, in terms of the
Yeah.
the colours and.
That reminds me of the Lotus team.
Yeah, I like that. Anyway, looking around at who is going to be closest on track, it is still these boys actually. Everyone else is over 5 seconds apart, so the incidents and the little knocking and banging around that these guys have done to spread it out. We'll go on board with Tillage right now. He's using a lot of lock around that right-hander, which you don't. I was just saying before actually, Pete, that you don't see a lot in these cars. You don't see people putting more than really 90 degrees of lock on unless it's a hairpin.
No, because you're usually in the scenery if you do. It's true. You've got to be. I mean, Tony, when we're doing like training, he says that he uses a lot less turn on his wheel than the majority of people, and that is about how smooth you are as you go around the track, and whether your setup is set up correctly so that you don't have to turn in sharply. And of course, every time you turn in sharply, you're adding heat to the tyre, and that makes the tyre go very liquid, and you lose adhesion to the track. So throwing a car in like this car particularly, it's almost the end of your race if you do it too many times, because you're just going to drift off.
Yeah, definitely. You've got to be so precise with them.
Yeah, precision's everything with this car. It's a beast to drive. Once you get some sort of mastery of it, even if it's basic like what I do, it's very, very satisfying. I'm trying
to just pick out anything that I can possibly do in these cars if I ever jump in them again, because it's just the skill involved in guiding these things around so smoothly is just insane. I can't really fathom what they're doing that I'm not. It can get a bit frustrating sometimes.
It is the smoothness that you're talking about. Pete's right. You know, with Tony, he preaches, you know, minimal inputs on the steering wheel, which is something I can't master. At the end of a race, I don't know which is my left arm and which is my right arm.
We're on board with Tony now then, just to prove the point. And you can see just how, look at the little lock he's using. Look at the speed he's carrying up the hill. It's just absolutely outstanding. I could watch that all day through there. I would never be able to pull that off at all. It's just brilliant stuff. But he's down in 9th at the moment. But that's going to mean, though, that him and Johnny Brandon are going to be near the front for the reverse grid to race 3. So that could get, as Pete would say, it tasty. And to be fair, Tanaka's only 1.6 seconds behind McClay now, so about...
Yeah, he's reeled that gap in a bit, hasn't he?
McClay's just made a mistake as well, and another one. He locked it up on the way in, and he's just overdone it on the way out. We'll have to see.
Yeah, Victor's going to have to get his race head on if he's going to catch him. Can't be that much left of the race.
Yeah, the tyres are going to be probably the priority right now. The gap is down again now, 1.4 seconds. It's going to go into the 1.3s. So Tanaka
I still
really
think we've got 4 laps left, so he's got time.
Definitely.
What time limit do you get towing these cars, Clyde? As in,
it's usually about 1 second.
Right. So he's not that far off that then. Greg Carr's throwing it into corners now.
I've just noticed as well, Johnny Brandon has lost a place to Tony Kloosterman. Not sure whether he let him have that because of the contact earlier or something, but yeah.
I think Johnny might just be carrying a lot more damage than Tony.
Oh yeah, oh wow, he's been off and he did a bit of a rallycross jump across all the grass and he's just completely carried on straight line in it. So he must have had the mother of all slowdowns. And then, yeah, and then just Tony's just gone through because, oh, George locking up again in the lead into that right-hander. Gap down to 1.15 seconds now. It's not getting easier for him.
Yeah, this is going to be close at the end.
I'm going to go on the gearbox camera then and just see what you can see from the rear of the car. You can see Tanaka just off in the distance, but we'll be reeling him in. It's 1.13 seconds. They go across the line, it's 1.09, so it's coming down gradually by the 100th.
And Tony will be, Victor will be getting him in the braking zone.
Fastest lap of the race as well for Tanaka, and a lock up from George. I think the
That
phrase
looks
is down
visibly different now.
yeah, I think down the pan is the phrase here, Clyde.
Yeah, it's that section of the track at the start where you sort of go left, right, and then you got the braking zone into stump corner. If you watch Victor, he's one of the only drivers that is diamond in that corner, and it makes him carry a hell of a lot of speed out of it as well.
They go up there now. I still can't believe the speed they carry around there in these cars, because they handle like cross-channel ferries at the best of times. But
yeah, I'd be in a barrier somewhere, I think, if I was travelling that path.
I'd be up the tree, even if it... Oh, George has gone straight on. He's locked it up. He manages to save it, though. That could have gone a lot further wide, but now we've got to keep our eye on Victor Tanaka, who's going to have the slipstream. He's 0.35 of a second behind.
He's slow out of the corner, though. Oh, now he's pulling him in.
He's not going to have enough, I don't think, to get there now. I think he knows that there's time left in the race to play it safe and then make the move later. Is George going to go deep on the brakes again? He did it in the last race. No, he gets it stopped nicely, clips the apex, down the hill they go into the left-hander. We're going to have a great scrap on our hands here for the lead then, Clyde. What do you reckon?
Yeah, it's all about George's car positioning now. Victor's going to get that big toe every single lap. But can George put his car in the correct place to stop Victor getting past?
Oh, look, a picture is a massive big toe now. Victor Tanaka, 149.6, fastest lap of the race. George is sideways on the brakes. There's a bit of smoke. He locks up again. Victor's got to try he tries not to hit the back of him. I think he gave him a little bit of a kiss then, but he's going to lay off reading in Braille at the moment. George is...
Greg Carr has got past Ant Woodward as well for third.
I was just going to mention that.
Good podium there for Greg Carr at the moment then. Of course, teammates as well, so they're not... Oh, a bit of a commentator's curse there. Big slide by Greg Carr. But Ant Woodward putting the pressure on still, though. He's not letting him get away with it, is he?
No, definitely not.
Bit of damage on the front left,
keep
though.
that pressure on. I don't know whether Ant's got damage or not. I don't remember him being in a...
I just saw a little bit on the front left. I'm not sure whether that might have just been from the incident earlier on when he was making his way through it.
Yeah, I think this will be when Victor's going to square up George.
Let's have a look. We'll go on board, see whether you can see the gap coming down visually. George got a good run out of there, to be honest, but the slipstream here is going to be very strong. They're big old bricks, these things. They punch a massive hole in the air. Woodward's got past Carr again. Carr's gone off, I think. Yeah, Greg Carr's got going again, so he's been off the track somewhere. Onto the brakes go McClay and Tanaka.
This is where Victor reels him in this section of the track.
It's the throttle control, isn't it, round here?
Coming down the hill, yeah, absolutely. It's easy to spin up coming downhill.
Yeah. Oh, he's got the rear out. Bit of a slide out the last corner by the look of it. It's a bit of a side-on angle, so I couldn't really tell, but he's lost a bit of time. Half a second the gap as they cross the line, but this will be... Oh, I reckon we may get one more lap after this, actually, you know? Got a minute and 20, actually. And it's a minute and 50 odd for a lap, so this will be the final lap of the race. So George has got 0.6 of a second now over Tanaka. I think Victor might start to get desperate and try and put the moves on him, but look how smooth he is through there. I'm going to really keep my eye on the gap. See whether we can get this to show up on screen, actually. If I was any sort of professional, I'd at least try that. Here we go. There is the gap live in the bottom right of your screen. It's under 0.4 of a second now. And now it's going to come under 3, so he's really piling the pressure on here, Pete. Oh, they're so close through there.
Could be a lunge into stump, maybe?
I'm reckoning not into it. I think he's going to...
Oh, not like that! Oh, he lunges himself. Oh, it's a real shame for Victor Tanaka, but George McClay once again laughing all the way to the bank. I'll have to have another look at that then. We'll go on board. Oh, it's just gone a bit further back than I wanted it to.
Yeah, I think George has got his lucky pants on for this race.
Yeah, definitely. Well, George actually got a bit of a tank slapper. George got a bit of a tank slapper out of the right-hander by the look of it. That's why Victor was reeling him in so much down that fast section. we're all just on board with him now. Through the right, then the left, right again, onto the brakes, changes down as they go left. Oh, it just loses it. It doesn't really clip the grass or anything. It just loses it completely on his own.
Yeah, it's just late hard braking and locking the rears up.
But George McClay has already won the race. Comes across the line, takes the victory. Victor Tanaka second. He'll be gutted with that mistake, but what a great drive by him. Apparently Richard Warmingham is out of the race. There is Anthony Woodward. Not Gary Woodward. Anthony Woodward third.
Close at the end, wasn't it?
Yeah, very, very indeed. With Greg Carr just behind him. Gary Croft is in 6th place. So that's 4 NQR cars in a row. Make it 5. Actually, no, Tony Clouston just coming towards the end of the lap. Richard Warmingham is showing us in there as well somewhere. Matthias Chalasia apparently finishing in 4th place though. So
yeah, that's a great result for him.
Yeah, really good race. And looking at the state of the car as well, he's not actually had much contact or anything. Here is Tony out the final corner now. Flooring it down the straight, 17 seconds back from him. Not the result I expected to say for Johnny Brandon in the XVR car, but just shows you how much an incident can change your race. Johnny's got it all sorts of sideways out the final corner. He's going to want to get this thing stopped as soon as he's crossed the line. He won't be happy with that. He's just flicking it around. He's probably going to crash the thing now. Here it goes. Oh no, no, he's done all right. he's keeping it on the black stuff at least. But another good race to continue the evening. Here are the results of said race then. George McClay taking the win, 8.3 seconds over Victor Tanaka in the end. We didn't think it was going to end that way round, let's face it. Anthony Woodward finishes 3rd for NQR. Greg Carr is in 4th place with Gary Croft, Team GC, finishing together again. And it's quite funny, actually, that their numbers 28 and 028 as well. Matthias Talaser is 6th. Tony Kloosterman is 7th, with Johnny Brandon in 8th, as we just saw. Richard Warmingham 1 lap down, did not finish. Neither did Andrew Hoffman and Michael Frost of Slow Motion Racing. So another good race there, boys. That was good fun, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think, again, you know, it just showed what sort of racing that you can have in these cars. You know, we, in the main series next week, you know, we get 20 plus, sometimes 30 plus grids, and there's battles like what we're seeing tonight all over the track. And these cars can go side to side, you know, with the right drivers in them. You know, you can go half a lap side by side, you know, and eventually somebody has to give or something has to give. So yeah, you know, these guys are putting on a hell of a show tonight. It's frightening the life out of me going around this track. I'm sort of glad I'm missing next weekend, because I'm not sure I'll get on too well with this track, to be honest.
Well, I'm going to definitely be watching if that is the case, mate. I'm sure it'll be pretty entertaining. But Pete's gone for a poo, so I'm not going to ask him about anything. We'll be back with you again in 10-15 minutes' time, so do not go away. And myself, Clyde and Pete will bring you the 3rd race of the evening. Thank you everyone for sticking around this evening. It's been great fun to do this again. It's a while since I've done a little broadcast. I hope you are enjoying the racing just as much as I am. What a fantastic series we have here. Little sprint series. Not the biggest grids in the world, but it doesn't matter, does it? You've seen just how good the racing can be. Don't forget as well to check out the championship. There is a link in the description of the stream. It's v8esc.com. They do have a full series as well where, like Clyde said earlier, they get 20 to 30 cars a night, and the racing in that one is just as good as it is here. Don't forget to check myself out as well on social media under Chazlington, on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and of course YouTube as well. I do have my own YouTube channel which you can subscribe to if you like. Do a lot of funny iRacing stuff, bit of DCS stuff as well, bit of flight sim. and mainly silly little streams like this, to be honest. Well, this isn't a silly one, but this is a bit more of a serious one. But I hope you're enjoying it either way. Thank you very much for sticking around, like I say. And we'll bring you the next race in about 10 minutes' time. Don't go away. I'm going to order a pizza now. Oh, that's going to get me a copyright strike. Just getting into race 3 now. Clyde has very nicely launched the session, so shouldn't be waiting too much longer. And then we'll get the third and final race of the night underway. Should be a really nice, interesting race, this final one. It's going to be on sunset, so the lighting going to be difficult for these drivers, and of course the track's going to be cooler as well, so the cars are going to be capable of going a little bit quicker. Whether the drivers can cope with that and keep up is up to them. Don't forget, of course, Tony Klosterman and Johnny Brandon are going to be near the front of the grid after finishing quite low down in that last race. So it may be a walkover for those guys, but you never know in motorsport. Anything can happen. And as you can hear, we're in the session again now. Cars practicing at the moment. The lights ablaze as well, so it's going to look nice and interesting, this final race of the night. Is everyone enjoying themselves? Everyone found it good fun so far? Anyone looking to listen to more of this music, by the way, it's by an artist called Ikson, I-K-S-O-N. It's all copyright free, it's on Spotify, it's on YouTube, it's on everywhere, I think. Really talented artist, really nice vlog-based music. Three minutes of practice left to go. Right then, I believe it's time for us to bring these boys back in, Mr. Whiting and Mr. Bingham, and final race of the night, guys. What are we reckoning going into this one?
Well, I think it's going to be hectic. I think there's going to be a good battle up the front between Brandon and Kloosterman. And then you've got George and Victor, who've already showed how fast they are, trying to come through from the back.
What do you think, Pete? Do you reckon that the guys at the back are going to be able to get to the front very quickly?
Not in this race so much. I think the middle of the field is going to see a lot of action. I think the very start of the race is going to see something dramatic between Johnny and Tony, because I think there's something going on there. We've had that in another race this season, haven't we, Clyde, with Tony and Johnny? So I think there's going to be a bit of a comeback session somewhere from Tony.
Yeah, and I think the guys will have a lot more grip again. Being a sunset session, the lights are on the cars. I don't know how much of the light is going to fade, but we tend to be near darkness by the end of the race. So, you know, picking braking points and things like that, especially on this narrow track with plenty of grass runoffs, that could cause the guys a few issues, I suppose.
It's always going to be interesting to watch as well how they sort of develop over the course of the evening. You know, these guys have to change their driving style sometimes with the differing conditions. I've been in a few leagues where, you know, you get 2 or 3 races a night, and it's amazing how much it changes. You would think if you are watching and you haven't done this before, you probably think we're all talking bollocks, but honestly, it is mad how much it can change in terms of how the car feels, the grip you have, and even the confidence. I mean, if you go into a section like we're going to see Tony Kloosterman go into now, if you don't know what the grip's like in the car, surely you can't have any confidence in it up there, Pete.
No, definitely not. And some of these guys will have a different setup for different temperatures. They'll have a different setup for different light conditions, I'm pretty sure, because driving at night is not anything like driving in the daytime. And this is a sim. It does reflect a lot of what these guys would experience if they were driving the real thing. Obviously, it's not the real thing, but they will have a different setup for the different conditions every time.
Yeah, and of course you don't get like the sunlight affecting the track surface and heating it up even more. It just gets cooler and cooler as it goes on. The only thing keeping the temperature up is actually the cars driving over it. We will have a look at the grid just briefly. Michael Frost and Andrew Hoffman make it a slow motion racing front row, numbers 9, 5, 7 and numbers 16. We then have Richard Warmingham, who for some reason on the overlay doesn't seem to be showing a number. Johnny Brandon is going to be 4th on the grid, Tony Klusterman in 5th. Matthias Salasia, number 66, 6th place. He's been doing really well tonight, so hopefully another under-the-radar approach. Gary Croft is going to be 7th with Team GC number 2, as I'm going to designate him, Greg Carr, both in car 28. Anthony Woodward is 9th. Victor Tanaka is going to be in 10th. And George McClay rounds out the field, your race 2 winner, in 11th. Pick for this one, Clyde. Who's going to win?
Well, I think you'd be mad to bet against Johnny, but he's not having much luck. So I think it's going to be, providing they don't come together, it'll be between Johnny and Tony.
Great start there for 3rd on the grid by Richard Warmingham. Absolutely flying. Andrew Hoffman's gone backwards off the start. There's a couple of cars wobbling around in the midfield. That's Gary Croft, I think. Richard Warmingham's gone to the front.
They did come together.
Yeah. Oh, it's happened already. Johnny Brandon's gone off. He's on into a different postcode at the moment. Klusterman just recovering as well. They're really wobbling around all over the place at the moment. The headlights do look fantastic though on these cars. Look at the lighting effects there. Good choice, Clyde. But yeah, already we've seen the drama then between Brandon and Klusterman. Let's have a quick look at what happened with Brandon. We'll go on board with him. Oh, this is already after it's happened, so let's just go
It'd
back
be
a little bit.
interesting to go on board right from the start because Andrew Hoffman got away really slowly and Johnny was stuck behind him and shot out right exactly to where the point Tony was going to go into, and Tony then shot right to avoid the incident, but then he collected Johnny in the next corner.
Just having a quick look, it looks like, you know, Johnny's start, he doesn't really light it up off the line. He wow, he doesn't even build up the revs beforehand. It just sounds like he goes from 0 revs. Oh, Tony just gets sideways on the brakes, you know, into him, and then Hoffman just stays wide to try and avoid it and just goes off on his own accord. But yeah, Johnny won't be too impressed with that, to be fair. He's trying to make his way back through the field now. He is ahead of Tony, so I don't know whether Tony's letting back through, but Richard Warmingham,
Tony's just slowed and let Johnny through.
That's good sportsmanship from him. That's what we love him for. And Michael Frost is off the track going slowly.
And Johnny's just binned it on his own.
Oh.
And he's just reset.
Yeah, he's not going to be too happy with that. Unfortunately, it's not gone his way. Richard Warmingham, though, 2 minutes into the race, 5.5 second lead. That's what you want.
You'd have that, wouldn't you?
Oh,
Every day of the week.
Yeah, damn right. GC, Gary Croft is in second. Well, he was. Victor Tanaka.
Victor's just stuffed it underneath there.
And then he's got the other part of Team GC. They're inseparable tonight. Greg Carr is in 4th place with George McClay. We'll go on board with George. You can see the...
Oh, there's someone
well...
over braking there from...
very visual understeer, wasn't it?
Yeah.
George gets it done then. Upper position he goes. You can see just on the left-hand side of the screen the gaps between all the drivers as well. They do change colour, I think, when they... Actually, are they? Oh, no, they're not. Oh, that's a shame. I can try and get it so they get all colour-coded and stuff, but it doesn't seem like it's working at the moment. Here we go. So when they're closer together, it goes from yellow to red. So you can see where the closest battles are. George McClay only 0.3 of a second behind Gary Croft at the moment. Although I say that, he's just gone onto the grass a little bit. Not quite got it right. But yeah, another lively start.
Yeah, very exciting start. Again, someone who's sneaking through in the middle of the field without any dramas is Matthias.
Yeah, he's held his ground there. He's the only person that's actually in the position where he started at the moment. Started 6th and he's still there. Everyone in front of him has actually gained places and everyone behind him has lost them. He's just sat exactly in the middle of it all. It's a really nice little balance at the moment. We'll just show you that on the timing screen. You can see, look, it's just Matthias is the little white bit in the middle, and then there's just green for everyone that's gained positions ahead of him, and then red for everyone that's lost positions behind him. So fantastic to see there for Matthias. 8.1 second. Oh no, sorry, it was 8.1 overall. It's a 5.5 second lead still for Warmingham over Tanaka for XVR. So despite the fact that his teammate is out of the race, Clyde, it could be a nice moment for XVR sim racing.
Yeah, definitely. I think Victor has been probably the quickest driver tonight in race conditions. I know we've not really had, apart from race one, we've not really seen what Johnny could do. So I fully expect Victor to close the gap on Rich, and then hopefully we have another good battle up front. And at the moment, you've obviously got George is chasing Gary Croft, and then if George can get past Gary and then chase after Victor, it could even be a three-way battle.
Yeah, you never know. It's just about how these guys, when they make mistakes, if they do, how consistent they are. It's a very dangerous game with trying to push it to the limit around a track like this, because while you could gain time on the guy in front, you could bin it and completely ruin it. George McClay right now is very close to the back of Gary Croft, and you can see in the intervals box on the left-hand side that Kluseman is close to the back of Frost as well. Kluseman's going to start making his way through here, Pete, but do you reckon because of that incident at the start, it's ruined his chances?
Of a win, absolutely. I think that's a bit even beyond even Tony. I think he'll end up in a decent position, and I think, knowing Tony, he's a gentleman driver whilst he also wants to win everything. Let's make that very clear right now. He won't be forcing the issue on the drivers that he's encountering.
George is now going to do Gary.
He doesn't need to, actually, because Michael's just decided to go gardening.
That really tickled me, that really tickled me. George McClay then, going around the first corner, has got past Mr. Croft, as Clyde pointed out, and Team GC is reunited once again. Mr. Carr right behind Mr. Croft. They're both in car 28 as well, just to confuse me even further. It's just one's got a 0 at the beginning. The lighting does look good though, doesn't it, Clyde?
It does, yeah. I've only done, because of the commentating, I've only done one of these these sprint series races, and it's amazing how much you lose your reference points for braking and turning in as the light fades, and every lap is a different adventure.
Every lap's a different adventure with me as well, because I forget where the corner goes. But I know what you mean,
though. That's in the daylight.
Indeed, yeah, you're not wrong, mate. Greg Carr is just sort of sticking with his teammate at the moment. I think because they know they're inseparable, he doesn't want to run into the back of him again and ruin his race like he did last time. Not to point fingers or anything, Greg.
Yeah, he keeps dropping off him, doesn't he?
Yeah.
It's funny.
He doesn't want to get too close to him in braking zones because he don't want to fly into the back of him again. But, that's the thing you've got to be worried about with your teammates. I mean, I drive for CQR. You'd have thought if you drive for CQR, oh no, that just means that I'm one of the ones that's going to team up on you. But no, it just makes you more of a target for other CQR drivers. But we all have a laugh. Warmingham, 4.1 second lead. Tanaka's starting to reel that down here, Pete. So do you reckon he could get him?
It could do, yeah. As Richard starts heating up his tyres into these tight corners, I think Victor's probably got the racecraft to keep it a bit smoother until he gets onto him, and then he'll start forcing the issue.
What do you reckon, Clyde? Do you reckon over the time he'll catch up?
Yeah, I can't see him not catching him, and I think that the trouble, don't get me wrong, Rich is a really nice guy and a really good racer, and I can remember 3 or 4 seasons ago when he first came into this, and he won't mind me saying he was bloody useless, and he has improved so much. But I think when you're in first place in a race and you've got a faster driver behind you, you put the pressure on yourself and you start making silly mistakes. And then the car behind you gets that bit closer and then you put more pressure on yourself. And it's like a big snowball effect. And you end up, instead of winning the race, you end up losing it because you've made it easy for the guy behind you.
Yeah, you need to get out of my head, Clyde, because that's exactly what happens to me.
I was going to say, I'm having very similar thoughts right now myself, to be honest.
I mean, Victor took like 0.8 of a second out of Rich in that last lap. It'll be really interesting to see how much he's gained, because it almost looks like Richard's pulled up.
Yeah, the gaps, it seems to be fluctuating a little bit, doesn't it? Like, it opens up and then closes again. But Tanaka, over the course of the lap though, he's got half a second off. And McLeod fastest lap of the race though, 47.9.
Yeah, they're both closing in, most definitely. It's a very difficult situation that Rich is in. We'd all like to be leading races, but he just needs to put everything behind him and concentrate on his lines, his braking points, his turning points, when he's putting his foot down on the accelerator. And if Victor and George catch him, then so be it. There's nothing he could have done about it. But if he starts looking at the times and he starts looking in his mirrors, then he'll definitely lose the race.
Yeah, that's it. You've just got to sort of just stay positive and just focus, haven't you? At the end of the day, there's nothing else to focus on, but that can make it worse sometimes because you overthink things when you're going into corners.
That's right. And as I said before, no disrespect to Rich, but he's not as quick as Victor and George. And that's in your head, and that's what you're thinking about, rather than concentrating on just being consistent and doing the lap times that you can do.
Victor's on him. Something's happened.
Yeah, I've just come back to this because I was just having a quick look at something in my timing because something wasn't working, and all of a sudden Tanaka's in the lead.
Yeah, I'm just going to wind that back. He's gone off at stump corner.
I'm not laughing at the fact that he's gone off. I'm laughing at the fact that everybody's taking on my stump corner thing.
Oh, it's a real shame for Rich, though. I mean, I was just trying to check something on my my live time, and I didn't even notice. I won't lie, that's really, really poor, isn't it? Sorry, everyone.
That corner there, once you get on that grass on the left-hand side, you're just turning forever to try and get back on the track and get some traction.
Yeah, because it goes beyond 90 degrees, that's why. It seems to be like a day to your right somewhere.
Yeah. 3 to 5 working days to find the apex. Well, he's only got one thing to do now, and that is put the pressure back on Victor Tanaka. Can he cracker the Tanaka?
George has just gone off as well.
That's funny.
George's McLeod is bed and now he can lie in it. It's made your bed and lie in it, isn't it? Shut up, Chaz. Anyway, Team GC still together-ish. There's 2.7 seconds between them, but really, let's face it, the battle we want to be watching is Mr. Warmingham, who has... He was given one of the greatest nicknames I think I've ever heard in the World GT Championship.
Most definitely.
By Mr. Steve Burke. Shout out to Steve.
What's that?
It's Dick
God,
Cooling Beef. Yeah, not a bad nickname in the slightest, to be fair. I'm not even sure if he knows about it, but I hope he does. It's in a lot of my, yeah, it's in a couple of my YouTube videos as well. But yeah, fantastic nicknaming skills by Mr. Steve Burke. But we're just on board with Mr. Cooling Beef himself now, chasing down Mr. Tanaka. And he's got the knack of this, I'll tell you that.
Oh, they're all coming out now.
Oh, God, yeah.
He's not dropping him too much though.
No, definitely not. Stayed about 0.6 of a second throughout the whole lap, really, since he went off. So he's doing the right things at the moment, is Mr. Warmingham.
Yeah, Victor's like kind of like 0.15 of a second faster, so he is pulling away very.
It seems in a very slow manner he's just getting the job done. You'd be worried about McLeod though behind you if you were Warmingham right now, as Tanaka runs a little bit wide.
He would do, but he had quite a slow lap at 1:51.
Yeah, George is seriously overdriving the car at the moment. I'm on board with him, and he's trying too hard to close that gap.
Well, we've done the same and gone on board with George as well.
It's amazing how much the light has faded as well.
Oh yeah, you can't even see that section then. I mean, you could see George wanted to turn in and then he sort of straightened up because he didn't know where the corner was, and I'm the same. This is scary on board with him. Nothing to see.
Dodgy now.
Mental. Because it's obviously not a lit track either at night, you know, it's not really one that people do a lot of racing around at night. He's not had a great evening around here at the moment. Suddenly that tyre barrier where that tree is just pops up out of nowhere. Great to see the headlights of the cars going the other way and then going up the hill as well. It's been brilliant since iRacing have brought out the day-night cycle and changed all the lighting. The cars are more reflective, the lighting's a bit more dynamic, and they've actually changed it now so that when it goes properly dark, the cars are actually silhouettes rather than glowing in the dark like they used to.
Yeah, I read about that. It's very good development, though.
There is a bit of a thing where sometimes the cars still are very shiny. So when you're on a track that's got floodlights at any point, there is massive white shines all over them, even if they're out in the sticks in the dark. But you know, these things take a while to perfect, and iRacing are good at taking their time on stuff because they get it so right. Speaking of taking their time to get stuff right, Tony Klosterman's gradually caught up to the back of Matheus Telesia, and Matheus is going to probably finally lose that elusive 6th position that he started in. He's going to be gutted. He'll hope that someone crashes in front of him or something, because
Yeah.
he'll want to be finishing in 6th after starting that. Tony, though, just staying nice and calm at the moment. He's not going for any wild banzai moves. He's just doing what he does best and putting the pace in. And you can look at him just creeping up to the back of Telesia, just showing his nose and saying, "I'm here, son. I'm going to come past you in a minute. Is that all right?"
Yeah, he's not going to do anything rude or drastic or anything. He'll overtake him when Tony feels it's safe to do so, because that's the kind of guy he is.
Yeah.
Saying that, he nearly pushed him around that corner.
I was going to say, from the amount of videos that Johnny has posted on the Race Day channel, I think he thinks Tony's better at other things.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, we'll go on board so we can incriminate him just in case this goes tits up. Into the left-hander then. Oh, he's run a bit wide on that apex there. Sort it out, Tony. Come on. Onto the brakes then. Matheus goes on the brakes first, as you'd hope. Through the double right-hander. Tony really gets a lot of the apex. Look at the run he's got on exit. He has to lift off. He's going to get the slipstream now, isn't he?
Yeah, but he might not be able to get it by the end of that straight.
Oh, I'm just getting a notification on my timing screen. We'll go to it in just a second. Oh yeah, Telesia lets him go. He knows that Tony's quicker. And that's gentleman racing. I like that. But George McClay is
mature as well.
George McClay has apparently been off track. Oh, he
You
just
wouldn't know
locked
it
up.
because he's not lost anything.
Yeah, he didn't really lose a lot of time, to be fair. I think he only lost about a second or two. He just locked up going into the slow left-hander near the beginning of the lap. Just went straight on over the grass, and that was that. He's 3.8 seconds off the guy in front now. But Richard Warmingham, like you were saying before, he's not really been dropped by Tanaka. He's only 1.3 seconds behind him, 1.4 now. So he's not flying away, is he, Clyde?
No, he's not. And I think, you know, Rich is on for a good second position here. Just looking at Team GC as well, they seem to have separated. So I don't know what happened there.
No, that's a good point. I don't remember them being this far apart for the entire 3 race.
They're going to have to renew their vows at this point.
Yeah, perhaps they've had an argument.
It's because they've got the same number. I wanted the 0. Gary Croft fighting for that all-elusive 0. Tony Klosterman is 5.1 seconds behind those pair as well. We've only got 2.5 minutes left of the race. This evening's flown by.
Yeah, it has. It's been a very exciting 3 races. It's been good.
And again, it brings me back to the fact that, you know, it's not a 56-car grid, and it's, you know, we've only had 11 cars, and there's only 9 running in this one, but it's still good racing, and these guys are really putting on a good show for us, so thank you to them, really. It's been great. I hope everyone watching's enjoyed it as well. I've certainly enjoyed doing this as well. Tony flying up the back straight now. He had a bit of a moment going around Stump Corner. Over the hill onto the brakes. But it's a bit spread out now. Everyone, as you can see from the interval tower on the left-hand side. The smallest gap is still this for the lead, which is 1.7 seconds from Tanaka back to Warmingham. But Victor doing a great job tonight. It's going to be a deserving win as well if he does end up taking it, isn't it, Clyde?
Yeah, I think so. You know, I said earlier, I think in race conditions, forgetting Johnny, apologies, Johnny, Victor has shown the race pace to, you know, be up there in all 3 races. So, yeah, a deserved victory, I think.
But of course, Richard Warmingham, you've got a feel for him as well, making that mistake early on.
Yeah, although I do think Victor probably would have got him anyway, but I'm sure Rich is going to be happy with a second place.
Oh Oh yeah, it's all about the points, isn't it? And like we were saying before, Pete, you know, everyone wants to win every single race, but it's not always possible. So you've just got to keep a mature head on you in these situations.
Absolutely. I mean, who wouldn't want to win? But your talent's got to match your capability. Your ambition's got to match that, and then you've got to be realistic about what you can achieve. And there's some people that don't realise what they're capable of and think they can do a lot more. I think the night that's been most punishing for is going to be Tony and Johnny, because they've unfortunately taken each other, or whatever transpires to be the reason, taking each other out of a high point scoring situation.
Yeah, definitely. And you know, in the championship, it's important stuff. But we've actually already come to the end of the race. Victor Tanaka, very, very deserving race victory, crosses the line, takes the win from Richard Warmingham in second place. George McClay is going to cross the line and finish third, and then it's Team GC, Greg Carr finishing in fourth place. Gary Croft is going to follow him home in fifth. I hope they're not sharing a car home together after this one, because they're going to be a big domestic. Same too with Tony Clouston in sixth place though. Good recovery drive in the end though. The time he actually made was quite a lot. Matheus Teleja, he's been one of my drivers of the night tonight. He's kept it clean in every single race and done a cracking job. We've got a car doing donuts somewhere that's just disappeared. Michael Frost coming out of the final corner now to cross the line. And then Andrew Hoffman is on the sort of second half of the lap now. He's just going up the back straight. But what another fantastic race for us, boys. That was a great way to round out the evening. A bit of drama, but very, very deserving race winner in Victor Tanaka.
Yeah, bit of drama, bit of darkness, some good racing. I've enjoyed all three races tonight. I think they've all had a little bit of something, from, you know, accidental car contacts to ones that looked a little bit iffy, shall we say. Some great overtaking moves, and yeah, I think all three races have been good.
And bearing in mind that Victor Tanaka would have started that race from almost last as well, gained 9 places to take the win out of an 11-car field, so done an incredible job to get that win. We're just going to whack up the race results now. Victor Tanaka then, as we say, takes race win from Richard Warmingham. 2.8 seconds back in the end. Great drive by Richard. It's just a real shame about the mistake. George McClay, another podium tonight. He'll be very, very happy with that one. Greg Carr finishing fourth ahead of Team GC teammate Gary Croft. Tony Klusman rounds out your top 6. Dispatching of Matheus Teleja, who would have been the only driver to finish where he started in that one. Michael Frost finishes in 8th with his teammate Andrew Hoffman in 9th. Then you've got Johnny Brandon, who did not finish the race, he was 10 laps down, and Anthony Woodward suffered the same fate. Now what we'll do at this point, we'll see whether we can grab... is anyone going to be about for an interview, do you reckon, Clyde? Have a look.
I don't know, we usually get some. We'll just give it a couple of minutes. Perhaps they're all making up after the race.
Oh, he's here. He's here. What we'll do is, Mr. Brandon is in. I can't drag him in though, so one of you will have to do it.
I'll drag him.
He joins us in the room. Mr. Brandon, hello mate, how are you?
Hello. Yeah, not great.
I can imagine. Clyde was just saying about the amount of videos that you posted in some of the Discord channels, but what did you make of the car track combo first of all?
I loved it. Great circuit. Not done a lot around there. Really enjoyed it. It's great fun driving the car around there. Yeah, just a shame it didn't go at plan.
Yeah, I was saying earlier that tonight wasn't really the way you wanted it. Did you feel confident going into it though? I mean, you showed obviously great pace in race 1 to just drive away, so surely there was some sort of positive energy going into it? Yeah, felt good. Yeah, I don't really want to go on about the second ones. I've put videos up just to show Tony what happened, because he seemed to be insinuating they were my fault in the race. So, yeah, I've put something to have a look at. That's all. It's what it is. It's done now. So, yeah, frustrating. But great track, great car. Love it. Just a shame I couldn't really take part. Yeah, I know what you mean. It is a shame, mate. But obviously, race 1 though was fantastic to watch. We were just saying how dominant it was, that you didn't just manage the gap; you just sort of extended it and drove away.
Yeah, I was, to be honest, I'm quite surprised. So, yeah, we've just cruised. It seemed to have a good pace round there, in race 1 at least. So, yeah, look forward to next week. If I'm here, I might not even be here next week, so I'm not sure yet.
You're still not sure yet, are you?
No, exactly.
You're doing that in the
I'm
podcast
not sure
as
it's
well.
worth it now with that bloody Tony Klusterman showing up.
Whoa! laying down.
Aside, I might be going away. So, yeah, I'm not sure what I'm doing yet. But hopefully I'll be around, because it is a great track, car combo. If you haven't tried it, give it a go. It's good fun.
Well, cracking to speak to you as always, Johnny. Thank you very much. It was a pleasure to commentate on, and hopefully next time round it goes a little bit better for you, mate.
Yeah, fingers crossed, and I'll be sure to have a look at the broadcast. I'm sure you've done a great job.
Cheers, mate. Thank you. Anyone you want to give a shout out to, by the way?
Just the XBR guys, and yourself, obviously, and Clyde for putting the series on. A big hello to Tony. that's about it.
Smashing
Lovely,
stuff.
guys.
Well, pleasure as always, Johnny. Thank you very much. I'll speak to you again soon, mate.
Cheers. Take care.
Mr. Brandon there, giving his insight as to what went on. What do you reckon, Clyde?
I've looked back at those incidents, and I think probably, knowing Tony, he will be disappointed. I think the one in race 2, although it was Tony's fault, I honestly believe that Tony just didn't realise that Johnny was there. The race 3 one, the actual incident itself was all on Tony. He locked up and went straight into Johnny. But I think what people need to look at as well, I'm not trying to take the blame away from Tony here, but off the start, when Johnny got stuck behind Andrew Hoffman, Johnny turned right and Tony was filling that gap. And at that point, if Tony hadn't have turned right, that incident would have happened at that point, and we would have all have been blaming Johnny. But as it happened, Tony pulled out of the way, and then cocked up the next corner and went into Johnny. But those two guys, they race hard. They take the mickey out of each other, and I've said on numerous occasions that there's never been anything malicious in this series. They'll argue about it, they'll make up, and then the next podcast that we do, the piss taking will fly about, and it all gets forgotten about and ready for the next round.
And that's the best bit about it as well, is that in these things, these guys end up still being really good friends and still enjoying it, and they all help each other out as well in between races with setups and things, and it's great to see that. What we will do as well, just to round up the evening, we'll bring in Mr. George McClay, if you would be so kind, because I don't have admin permissions.
That's because you're a rookie.
Yay! He joins us now, and he's got his microphone muted, so we'll keep talking at him until he doesn't do that. Mr. George McClay, hi George, how are we doing?
Hi guys, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we certainly can, mate, unfortunately with that accent. How did you find this evening?
Well, I never actually put a lot of practice in this week, to be honest, so it kind of showed in my performance a wee bit. I was kind of making a few errors here and there, so I need to kind of try and get them ironed out for next week.
You could have fooled me, mate. Looked like you had really good pace out there tonight. I mean, we were saying that at points it looked like you were maybe overdriving the car. Did you feel like that was necessary to keep on pace?
I probably was trying to push to be a wee bit quicker, and it was probably causing me to make a few extra errors. Plus, I had my tyre pressures a wee bit off, so I'll need to try and get a few extra laps in this week to try and iron that out. But the racing was great with Victor. It was fantastic. Race 1 was it was a lot of pressure he was putting on us, and eventually I think I made a mistake and he got by us, if I can mind correct. Race 2 I kind of got lucky because my tyres started to overheat, and I just lost a lot of time per lap when they were really overheating, and then Victor was just catching me. But fortunately, I made the mistake, and I managed to get the win in that one. Race 3, I was happy to get a podium for the rear on that as well. So overall, considering the practice I've had, I was quite happy with the result.
Yeah, definitely one of my drivers of the night, if I'm honest with you, mate. It was really, really good to watch, and hopefully as well, of course, you can use this as sort of good data for next week. Are you feeling confident in going into that one?
Aye, well, once I get a few more laps in, hopefully I can get a decent result for next week as well. And hopefully it's luck as well, come through the traffic. You need to have a bit of luck on your side as well. But fortunately tonight I was quite lucky in most instances.
Cracking stuff. Well, it's been a pleasure to speak to you again, mate, and very well done on your results tonight. Is there anyone you want to give a quick shout out to before you go?
Obviously you guys for doing a great show. I can't wait to watch that in the next half hour or so. And the team for helping us with setups and stuff.
Brilliant stuff, mate. Well, pleasure to have you. Thank you very much, and well done on your results, and we'll see you next time.
Catch you later.
George McClay there, race winner. I didn't understand a word of that. Pete Bingham, what do you reckon to tonight, mate, overall, just to round out?
I reckon it's been a great night for racing, to be honest. Lots of little pockets of competition as we've gone through. Some very strange racing, some bizarre losses of control, and some very controversial crashes, which I don't think we'll hear the end of on Discord, but I think it's been very entertaining. I've been privileged to commentate on this. Hope I haven't been too annoying with all my as I've been going through. That's my filler word, apparently.
Nah, you're all good.
There's another one for you. But no, I've enjoyed every minute of it. It's been great. Thanks to all the racers, and thanks to you for hosting it.
Not a problem. And what about you, Clyde? Did you enjoy that? I was going to say no.
Cheeky.
No, I did. I thoroughly enjoyed their races. I love the way that Chaz has nominated every driver on the grid as his driver of the night. Talk about covering all bases. But no,
just say what a beautiful shot was just on screen. Then of them all going around the tree, the stump. Sorry.
I think it's been a very good meeting. Yes, we've got a little bit of controversy, but I'm sure that'll get sorted out. And yeah, looking forward to even though I'm not going to be there, I'm looking forward to watching the broadcast back from next week's main series racing, when we'll have a few more cars on the track and a few more fast guys, and see how they get on then.
Yeah, definitely. It should be good. It was a bit of an unorthodox car track combination, but it's worked really well in my opinion. Thanks, boys, for allowing me to do this. It's been an absolute pleasure. It's been really, really good fun. Hope everyone watching has enjoyed it as well. Well done, of course, to our race winners this evening and all those that scored the points that they wanted. And don't forget to check out the Championships website. There is a link in the description below as well. And, of course, to my social media, as always. You don't have to follow me, don't worry. I am this annoying all the time. But, yeah, to round things out, Clyde, Pete, thank you very much, mate. Pleasure as always. And don't forget, you can catch even more action same time, just a bit earlier next week, actually, on the Saturday night. We'll have the full Racetech Euro V8 Supercars Championship coming to you from Virginia. Have a fantastic evening.